The Consortium for Scenario Planning hosts a conference every year. Participants come from all over the country from different kinds of organizations. We have municipal planners, regional planners, professors, academics, graduate students, and we have representation from different software tool providers. The conference helps planners learn about scenario planning so that their cities and regions can be prepared for an uncertain future.
Scenario planning, it's a fancy term for a pretty straightforward activity. We are always looking for better ways to demonstrate to the members of the public that they have some control over what happens to themselves and to their kids based upon the choices they make today.
Rather than predicting the future, we're thinking about all the different futures that could possibly exist. Thinking about those futures is important because nothing goes in a straight line. So somewhere in between these scenarios is going to be what actually happens. And if we plan for those extremes, then we can be prepared for something that's somewhere in the middle.
It helps us challenge our minds around what are some of the future trends and impacts that we're all going to have to face together.
The conference is 3 days long. It rotates cities and the hosts. Having a host agency gives them some ownership for content. They get to present their work, they get feedback from a large group of peers. The program is full of learning opportunities, but there's also ample time for networking and socializing with peers.
There's a lot of learning opportunities in the ability to connect with the folks that are out there in the field doing the actual scenario planning work.
People are open to share their experience and expertise.
So you get to really bounce ideas off of each other. Everyone's excited to find other people who are doing the same kind of work.
In scenario planning, a lot of the value is in the collaboration, and this conference highlights those values in bringing all these experts together.
I see this as an opportunity to keep learning and seeing how the field is evolving.
Each conference has a site visit that's chosen by the host agency. The site visit is an opportunity for the host agency to showcase an important project in their region that has used scenario planning or has benefited from that process. And it's an opportunity for the attendees to get out of the indoor spaces and see on the ground some of the impacts of scenario planning used in that region.
I also really enjoyed the bus rapid transit tour yesterday and seeing how Hartford can make major impacts with their transit accessibility.
The bus rapid transit corridor was a huge investment in capital. Scenario planning is going to play and has already played a huge part in understanding the benefit to having that infrastructure in terms of doing economic development around those stations.
And what we try and demonstrate to people through scenario planning is that while they can't influence everything, they can influence a lot. And through looking at the data and comparing possible outcomes, they can make better choices.
We're using scenario planning as a major part of our plan to think about what policy recommendations will be most useful for our region. We've come up with exploratory scenarios that we'll then put through our system of models and test different policies against.
As the world is evolving, the discussion around what exactly scenario planning means and how to use it effectively is also changing. So as a scholar, I feel that it is imperative for me to stay engaged.
The pandemic has made a lot of people realize how important scenario planning is as a tool. There is so much demand for technical assistance, there is demand for our publications and resources, there's a demand for people to be networking with their peers so that they can learn how others are handling the pandemic and using scenarios to help them move forward.
I anticipate that I'll be at more of these conferences. There's certainly much more for me to learn. And so talking to other organizations and hearing about their successes and struggles will certainly help me.